with the introduction of the Adidas Adizero Adios Pro Evo 1, a $500 marathon racing shoe that is only optimized for one race. Adidas told us that the technology would trickle down into daily training models and others, and I was curious to see what package that would take shape as. Well, it's here, and it's as good as promised. Meet the Adidas Adizero Evo SL. What's up everybody, I'm Eric McIntyre, aka Rad Dad Bod. You're watching Rad Dad Bod TV, where we review running shoes. Today we're breaking down the Adidas Adizero Evo SL. For the purpose of the review, we'll just call it the Evo SL. But if it's your first time watching one of my videos, you may notice some timestamps below. Feel free to jump around to the various parts of the review. But if you do so, I would sure appreciate it if you come back and watch the full video when you get a sec, as I put a lot of time and effort into these videos to make them as comprehensive as possible for each and every one of you. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. That way you get notified every time I drop a new video, which typically is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But as of late, I've been trying to drop daily videos as I have a lot of shoes to talk about. And if you like what you see today, hit that like button, leave me a comment, tell me what I can be doing better, tell me what you enjoyed, or tell me what you'd like to see more of. Now let's start this thing off with some disclaimers and disclosures, which are that I actually purchased this shoe with my own money. I have been in conversation with Adidas, and they are going to be sending me shoes in the future. However, they did not send me this shoe, nor do they ever give me talking points or dictate what videos I record or get to watch videos beforehand. All thoughts are entirely my own. Now with that out of the way, let's talk about the intended use of this shoe. Now, this shoe is a little bit confusing because essentially it is an up-tempo daily trainer or lightweight daily trainer, but there are a lot of aspects of this shoe which are really not daily trainer made. That being said, that's how it's categorized and that's how we will evaluate this shoe, but typically up-tempo daily trainers are made to be a little bit more versatile than your standard daily trainer. They can handle some workouts, typically shorter intervals. A lot of times they're going to be lighter weight overall, and are also going to be easy enough on the feet that you can take them for daily miles. Now talking about the price, this shoe comes in at $150, which is pretty typical for that lightweight daily trainer range, which kind of sits between the lightweight daily trainer price point as well as the standard daily trainer price point. But I think given what the shoe is, it is appropriately priced overall. Now from a specs perspective, the shoe comes in at 8.1 ounces or 230 grams. And from a stack perspective, you have 37 in the heel, 30.5 in the forefoot for a 6.5 millimeter heel to toe drop. So it is a mid drop overall shoe. From a fit perspective, I feel like the shoe fits true to size lengthwise, maybe a tiny bit short. And I know some people have had some issues with kind of the Adios or Adizero models being a little bit short somewhat. I find that this one fits a little bit more true to size lengthwise than like the Evo 1 or the Pro 4, which in my mind do fit a little bit short. But for the most part, I would say it is a standard fitting shoe throughout the shoe as well. It has a little bit of extra room in the toe box. I would say it's like a standard to accommodating fit from the midfoot to the heel. So I don't think anyone would necessarily need to size up or size down in this shoe. And I think some people with not like full wide, but a little bit wider feet may still be comfortable in the shoe as well. Now moving to the upper is an engineered mesh, which I find to be really lightweight, really breathable, and really comfortable overall. You have some good cushion here in the heel, but it's not overwhelming. It's just enough padding that you don't get any discomfort there in the heel counter, and you do have a structured heel counter as well. From a lockdown perspective, I do feel like you can get really good lockdown in the shoe. I don't find myself sliding around in it whatsoever, and there were no hot spots or chafing or any noticeable issues in that sense with the upper. Now I do have one major criticism of the upper though, and this is something that I have seen. It was present in the Evo 1, so it's somewhat fitting as this is kind of like the daily training successor, and that is that the laces and the tongue are not just like bad, but pretty terrible. I don't mind the cushion of the tongue so much. It's just kind of that classic like minimal tongue overall. But what really kind of annoys me with it is, one, it's not fully gusseted, which I do believe should be the standard for running shoes. I don't know why we're still making tongues that are not fully gusseted, or at least like semi-gusseted. The other thing is the tongue is really short, so if you were to do a runner's knot, the laces are going to be basically digging into the top of your ankle. Now, luckily, I do find I can get good enough lockdown in the shoe without having to utilize a runner's knot, and I did have to use the runner's knot in the Pro Evo 1. But the other thing here is that these laces are just really flimsy and not super high quality, and a little bit short too. So if you do use a runner's knot, then you may find that you're running out of laces, and you may want to consider even purchasing your own and replacing these. Now for $150, I can forgive that, right? The rest of the upper in my mind is kind of that classic blend of minimal yet comfortable, right? It gets the job done. You have the structure you need, but it's not like overly plush, overly fancy. It just does its job. But the tongue is bad enough that I do need to bring that up for sure. Now moving to the midsole, this is kind of where the magic happens. So you have a full Light Strike Pro, which is the TPEE racing foam that Adidas uses. On top of that, there is a nylon shank, which I believe runs basically kind of this length of the midsole. I don't think it runs the entire length of the midsole, although I did read that somewhere. But really, like, you can see it is like not super stiff at all. Nylon tends to be really, really flexible, and I tend to be against any plate elements or stiffening elements in daily trainers, but given that it is a racing foam and it is not a full length shank from what I understand, I'm actually okay with that for daily training as well. And speaking of daily training, I found that this shoe does phenomenal on easy because the foam is soft enough and the shoe is light enough that you can get those daily miles. You can run in recovery runs in the shoe as well. You can really kind of run in any pace that you may choose. The shoe is fast enough that you can do 400 meter repeats, 200 meter repeats. I have done that in the shoe. You can do a long run. There's enough cushion underfoot where you're going to feel very comfortable, and the cushion is soft enough yet supportive enough that you're not really feeling that feeling of like the shoe bottoming out at all as the run goes long. My first run in the shoe was actually a long run. It was 13 miles with about 10K at tempo pace, and I felt like this shoe was perfect for that type of run. It was super, super smooth, super, super comfortable, like no concerns whatsoever. I really do believe that this is, from a pace versatility standpoint, the best overall do-it-all shoe that exists on the market. It reminds me of a blend of my top two lightweight trainers from last year in terms of underfoot sensation, which were the Brooks Hyperion 2 and the New Balance Rebel V4. I feel like this kind of takes those two approaches and blends them. So you have like a responsive, yet soft, yet supportive overall foam. And so you get like the setup of a Brooks with the responsiveness of that Rebel foam. So for me, and again, this is my opinion and this is my experience, I understand maybe not everyone wants this. For me, this is the perfect midsole foam setup. It's not as squishy as the Pro 4 Light Strike Pro foam. So it is a slightly different tuning of the foam. Better set for long runs, easy runs, recovery runs, whatever it may be. But again, responsive enough that you can have really, really good workouts in the shoe overall. Now, from a stability perspective, with this type of foam, and probably because of that nylon shank, it is more stable than I expected, but it is a little bit unstable. So it's not going to be the best option for people who do overpronate necessarily, but more stable than I was expecting, to say the least. Now, moving to the outsole, Adidas is known for really, really good outsoles in my mind, especially with that Continental rubber. So you have the Continental rubber up front, and then you have here in the back clear rubber compound on the medial and lateral side of the heel. Now, although Continental rubber has really good reputation, I did find that this shoe slipped around a little bit when roads were wet following rain or in the rain. It's not bad enough that I ever have fallen or really slipped and like wrist injury, and I did run on the track this morning with these shoes with a little bit of powder, and they actually gripped great, and I'm kind of regretting maybe not doing my 5K time trial in these shoes because they seem to be gripping better and not picking up snow compared to some of the other options I was looking at. So the rubber does a good job, but I did notice a couple of times in previous runs that I was slipping. So it's not going to be super, super grippy overall. Keep that in mind. If you are somewhere that has slick roads, this may get slippery underfoot. But from an outsole durability standpoint, the outsole is holding up super, super well. I have just about 40-ish miles on the shoe so far, and I'll take it probably up to about 50 here next week. And so I think that the outsole is it's doing its job. It's getting it done from that durability perspective, and I can see this shoe lasting a long time with that underfoot. Now, as far as who's this shoe for, honestly, this is the type of shoe, if you could only own one, and you needed it to confidently do a little bit of everything, you wanted to be able to race in it, you wanted to be able to do workouts in it, you wanted to run easy, recovery, all of that, standard runs, like this is, in my opinion, the best overall shoe that I have ever tried that isn't just passable in most workouts and passable in most things, but genuinely feels comfortable and fast, and frankly, like, I would race in this shoe potentially up to the marathon. Are there going to be snappier shoes out there? Are there going to be shoes with more pop? Sure, right? But these are really comfortable on foot. They feel very supportive underfoot, and they can go fast. Like, they may not give you the same running economy gains as some other shoes that like super shoes and full-blown plated shoes or super trainers as well, but
I think that this gets the job done quite a bit. And with that nylon shank, it may even be considered a super trainer, but at that $150 price point, I just feel like it fits more in that up-tempo trainer category. So if you're someone who is looking for just a really, really fun shoe, if you prefer a lighter weight daily trainer over like a highly cushioned daily trainer, this is gonna give you more lightweight trainer vibes, obviously with a high cushion or a high stack height still. I think I said 37 in the heel, so it's not max cushion by today's standards, but it still is a lot and plenty of foam underfoot. So just some final thoughts. It's gonna be hard to beat this shoe for me as shoe of the year in 2025. Now, I have one shoe, and I'll do a comparison between the shoes that to me I enjoy more, that I think is my favorite shoe. But in terms of just pure performance, I just don't see how any other shoe can beat this with a $150 price point, with a full-blown racing foam, with the pace versatility that exists in this shoe. I just don't see it happening. And so it feels weird because I try and stay as unbiased as possible in these reviews, and I try and really just kind of paint more of an objective picture rather than a subjective picture. But two of my last reviews, the Neo Zen and the Evo SL, may be my two favorite shoes I've ever tried, maybe second only to the Super Blast 2, but those three are currently like my three top all-time shoes. So hot start to 2025. Hopefully it keeps going up from here and I'm proven completely wrong. Last year I had a couple early favorites that still actually stuck through and stayed in my top 2 in each category, things along those lines. But for the most part, the running shoe bar has been raised once again. And I am really impressed with what is happening. And I can't wait to continue to test more and more shoes in 2025. And I hope something does dethrone this one, because that means that we're getting some really high quality stuff on foot. Now, if you stuck around this far, I sure appreciate it. Do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on notifications so you get notified every time I drop a new video, which is typically Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but as of late has been daily videos. And if you haven't already, leave a comment, leave a like. Let me know what you liked about the shoe or what you would like to know a little bit more about with this shoe. If there's any shoe comparisons that you'd like to see with this one, and just any general questions that you may have. Just to round us out, I'll leave us with a question as always, which is, have you tried the Adidas Evo SL? And if so, did it live up to the hype, or was there something that you didn't like about it? Let me know down below. Thanks everybody.